and thank you so much for being with us on this Tuesday, August 26th. I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti, and this is Weather Out West, the hour-long show where we showcase the latest on what's expected weather-wise across the western United States. You'll find forecasts from our meteorologists in the Pacific Northwest to the Mountain West, and California to Arizona in the Southwest. We start today in Phoenix. You may have seen the visuals of a dust storm blow through Arizona. Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries is in Phoenix with a recap of that and what's to come looking forward.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at, yes, some very active weather out west. From the extreme heat we covered last week, complete with record temperatures, to now a very active monsoon that blanketed the region with dirt. Yes, take a look. We had so many photos and videos of this dust storm, this wall of dirt just rolling through the valley. But some of my favorites, this one, Julie in Whitman sending me this photo, and you can just see, yeah, all that combustion going on. That wall of dirt, as I mentioned, just creeping across the sky. And then as it did and it filled the sky, well, this is what we all saw yesterday. Fred in Chandler. Yep, I saw this outside of my big windows as well. Very dirty, very gusty. And then we followed it up with quite a bit of rainfall. In fact, take a look. Here's some of your rain totals in the past 24 hours. Remember, I said we were going to get 1/3 of an inch of rain officially for Sky Harbor. And check this out. As of right now, the morning hours, we have 0.29 officially on the board. Not record territory, but certainly much needed. You can see a lot of the heavy lifting. I mean, Tempe almost 0.8. So closing in over 3/4 of an inch of rain in Tempe. Chandler picked up over a 1/2 inch. Meantime, look at North Scottsdale, just 4/100ths of an inch. Surprise, 8/100ths of an inch, and a little over 1/10 of an inch from Buckeye into Goodyear. So you could see the rainfall very spotty, but the impact from this wall of dirt being felt across much of the state. More is to come today. Take a look. Now, the difference for today, it is not as powerful. We don't have any of those early advisories. No flood watches, no dust advisories, but I think the timing of it is earlier in the day. As a result, we're not going to get as much sunlight, and so temperatures are actually going to stay below 100 degrees today in Phoenix. I've got 80 in Sedona, 71 in Flagstaff, and 94 in Quartzsite. Monsoon meter, yes, still very active weather. We've got 7s on the board for higher elevations. Northern Arizona through the rim into White Mountains because, yeah, these are going to be severe storms. Once again, more hail and more strong winds, more heavy downpours. Now, some of this is going to impact the valley through western Arizona. We've got 3s, so we're watching for those outflow winds. And southeast Arizona, again, you are a good target for some of this moisture. So what are our big concerns? Well, we have a high danger of blowing dust. We're looking for medium severe winds, so not as strong as yesterday. High danger for lightning. And as far as flash flooding, again, not as much moisture moving through as yesterday. So our flood levels, well, they're going to go down, but they're still active. So just stay with us all day long. Of course, we're sending out those alerts as they come. As you can see, last night, past 24 hours, certainly quite a bit of moisture moving on through. The timing of it today, as mentioned, we're not seeing as much moisture out there this morning, pretty dry. But then as we get into about the 1 to 2 o'clock hour, that's when we'll start seeing some of these storms come up from the south. So a good 3 to 4 hours earlier than what we saw the timing yesterday. Remember, the timing yesterday was after about 4:30 into the 6:30 hour. By 4 o'clock, I think we're going to start to see some substantial coverage, and then it should start lifting by about 10 o'clock. So again, an earlier storm, not as powerful, but still, this is monsoon moisture, so you need to be ready for these pop-up showers. As far as our rainfall totals, again, meager compared to yesterday, 1/100th of an inch for Phoenix, about a 1/10 of an inch in Buckeye, and higher elevations should stay under about a 1/2 inch. Now, because of all the moisture moving through, yeah, you guessed it, temperatures are staying down. We've got 70s once again on the board for the next 7 days in Flagstaff. Meantime, for the valley, weather impact alert goes into play later today, all because of the monsoon moisture on the move. And then we really start to dry out and get back to the basics in time for your weekend.
Thank you, Ginger. Now let's get to our team in Denver with a check on how the monsoon is impacting the great state of Colorado.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. Well, we're enjoying a cool down with some beneficial rain in the month of August after a month-long heat wave and lots of fire activity across Colorado. That combined with excessive drought conditions across much of the state, and this latest weather pattern is so welcome. Finally, that tropical plume of moisture is making its way northward into Colorado, being transported around with the clockwise flow around high pressure into the Front Range. Storms have been moving from the northwest to the southeast and moving slow, so we've seen some heavy rain, but also a cooler temperature trend with abundant cloud cover. And this pattern for us looks like it could go for several days. The good news is there'll be a break in this pattern by the time we hit the end of the week and head into the upcoming long holiday weekend. So today we may have a smidge more sunshine here in Colorado than we had yesterday. It was cloudy all day. Temperatures held in the 60s and low 70s. Today we'll start partly cloudy and then watch as a plume of moisture comes up from the southwest this time, tracking toward the northeast. By about 2:30 in the afternoon, those foothill showers will make their way along the Front Range, crossing over Denver at the heart of the evening drive. Then a secondary wave comes into Denver around midnight. So definitely an active pattern. It's going to help boost our rain numbers, and we definitely do need that. So we'll start in the low 60s today and warm to the mid 70s. Our forecast high is actually 76 with a bit more sunshine than we had yesterday. The high yesterday was 72. Average highs are in the low 80s, and we won't see those numbers again until the weekend. So a chance for rain and a cool temperature trend today, tomorrow, Thursday. Friday's a little drier, and finally the holiday weekend is warmer with temperatures in the upper 70s and lower 80s, but no record high temperatures through the extended period.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. It's been feeling a touch more like fall out here for the start of the week. Yesterday, we hit the coolest high temperature, 72 degrees out of the airport since June the 8th. Now, typically we see highs this time in late August in the upper 80s. We're expecting high 70s for today, the record 97 set back in 2020. Now, the first day of fall officially isn't until Monday, September 22nd, but I want to look ahead at some of our average first freeze dates where the temperature drops to at or below 32 degrees. The earliest on record in Denver, at least, is September 8th of 2020. So that's still a couple of weeks away, but not that far off. The latest on record, November 15th of 1944, and typically we see temperatures right around freezing in early October. So we still have some time to get there. And is it too early to talk about snow? Well, our average first snow on record October 18th, or rather the earliest will be early September, and average in mid to late October. So if you are dreaming of the fall-like weather, it's sticking with us through the majority of the week. We still have 42 days, though, officially, until the highs typically drop below 70 degrees. But it's pumpkin spice latte season already at Starbucks if you're feeling in the autumn mood.
We still have a little less than a month until fall. Still ahead after the break, your forecast from northern to southern California. Welcome back to Weather Out West. While we're talking about the weather, Taylor Swift just dropped on Instagram. She's now engaged to Travis Kelce. That may seem like the biggest news of the day. However, we want to talk about the monsoon creeping into parts of Southern California. Let's get to meteorologist Evan Narani in San Diego.
Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Evan Narani in San Diego. It is a different type of weather that we've been working with over the last several days as monsoonal moisture has been drifting in mainly from the southeast of us over the last several days. It's allowed for some showers and thunderstorms over the mountains, but primarily what San Diegans have noticed is the humidity out there. That's something different for us, feeling more tropical over the last several days as there's been much more moisture in the atmosphere. Want to start off with what we saw yesterday in terms of those 24-hour rain totals, which is a rarity to be talking about in the month of August for us in San Diego. And yet Descanso came in with almost 0.8 of an inch. Pine Valley, same situation. Mount Laguna, almost that 4/10 marker. And in Julian, just a measly 1/100th of an inch, but just goes to show the range that we've been seeing over the last couple days and what we can expect for days to come as well. What I want to emphasize is where those heavier accumulations came down yesterday, we had a very brief flash flood warning that was issued because Doppler had detected that quick moving, stronger cell over the mountains, and that seems to be a possibility again this afternoon. Those kind of quick moving, sporadic pop-up showers primarily over our local mountains. Rain chances stay at their highest this afternoon, about 30 to 35%, starting to drop down as we get toward the rest of the week. You can see how into the weekend we're back down to the single-digit opportunities there. This is all moisture that's kind of drifting in again from the southeast and pushing from that area up north. So let's run our rain and cloud forecast through the next couple hours for you, where you can see how going into this afternoon, we run the risk yet again. 1 p.m., those showers start to build across our local mountains. Pine Valley is an area that we'll be watching for. Julian yet again, all the way up toward Palomar Mountain. And then as we get into about 3, 4 p.m., they're mainly around that southeast corner, starting to break apart from there on. Going into the rest of our day, Wednesday, we see another opportunity for a few more stray cells to develop there. And then I want to push this through Thursday, because that's when we start to see not only a continuation of the moisture on hand, but a decreasing of our monsoonal moisture. So a decreasing in that potential for thunderstorms to develop. We'll still see, however, that those clouds will hang out. We'll still see a possibility of maybe a few pop-up scattered showers across the mountains, but generally from Thursday through Friday, that activity starts to really decrease. This afternoon, still warm out there, by all means very summer-like, but not only will we feel the humidity, but in some cases we'll feel temperatures in the above average range. Yesterday we saw plenty of 90s across areas like Ramona and Campo. Today it looks like we'll stick with upper 80s for the most part. 82 for Julian, 81 for Vista, 78 in Oceanside, 73 in Del Mar, and 77 in San Diego. A lot of people are going to be heading west for this reason, enjoying the coastline where there's a much smaller probability of any showers coming to fruition. Instead, what you'll feel is those pretty mild temperatures in the 70s out there. You'll feel a lower amount of humidity than what we see across our valley floors and toward our mountains, and a gradual warming trend as we get toward the end of the week. You can see how into Friday we'll peak at about 81 degrees. Inland valleys are pretty similar, where today through Thursday we're enjoying the more mild conditions and then starting to see those temperatures climb to the low 90s into the end of the week and the weekend. More sunshine in the mix starting on Friday. That's where we see less of that risk of monsoonal moisture for San Diego County. Red color on the screen here indicating weather impact alert days today and tomorrow across our local mountains and deserts, as that risk of pop-up showers and thunderstorms still exists. And then as we get into the end of the week and the weekend, temperatures, they will warm up, but those skies are finally clearing out and we'll lose that humidity. Hope you all have a fantastic day.
Thanks, Evan. You too. Parts of Northern California could see monsoon storms as well. Meteorologist Monica Woods is in Sacramento with the details.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, looking at a fairly active weather pattern throughout northern and central California. Regional headlines: fog returning to the coast for the valley, cooler with some clouds. Eye on the storms in the foothills, and for this year it will become rather active. So kind of seeing how far down the hill some of those thunderstorms will start to rotate. Our Sierra weather impact alert will continue through Tuesday. The impact being thunderstorms, hail, heavy rain, gusty winds, lightning, even more fire starts. We've already been monitoring multiple fires started by lightning. Stay weather aware, especially have that cell phone handy for all those weather alerts that come out. Our severe weather outlook expands throughout much of the Sierra, even through Northern California into our Tuesday, coming slightly down the hill. So watch out, especially on the east side of the valley through the foothills, for a few of those isolated thunderstorms that just kind of expand from the Sierra and move their way westward. For Wednesday, it starts to become a little less expansive and more confined to the Sierra. So we're starting to see a little bit of that reduction in our severe weather risk. Nonetheless, lightning safety. We're still kind of in the tail end of that summer vacation. Avoid picnic and shelter areas along the beach. Avoid the top of hills and open fields. Stay away from water, especially all that recreation at Lake Tahoe. Avoid trees or tall objects that could be a risk, especially as those cells just kind of rotate over the mountain areas and all of that forest area as well. Forecast Forecast highs for our Tuesday were in the 90s to right around 100 throughout the valley. So there's still some pockets of heat left over from that ridge of high pressure sinking warming air, which is all a part of how we're getting those thunderstorms in there. Average number of days for the Sacramento area of 100+ degree heat. That's 16. We've only had 11, but we quickly climbed over the course of the past couple of days with a lot of heat risk actually under that ridge of high pressure. But it's still part of the forecast. With that clockwise circulation, we're still pumping up that moisture throughout the Sierra Spine. So roughly after about noontime through the early part of the evening is when we see that biggest risk of thunderstorms in the higher elevations. Now that high pressure ridge starts to lose a little bit of its momentum here. That will allow access to more of that onshore flow and more fog for the coast as we make our way through the middle of the week. That high pressure ridge again starting to weaken, but we still see enough of its presence that will have the risk of thunderstorms into our Wednesday, possibly lingering into Thursday as well. So let's take a look at the specifics. For a long time, we've been looking at the temperatures as the main focus, but now it really will be the potential for lightning sparked fires and the dangerous thunderstorms developing in the Sierra, with even a slight risk of some flooding. Highs in the 70s for the Tahoe Basin as we make our way southward here. Still a risk of thunderstorms. Yosemite 79 degrees, 82 for Pinehurst, 98 though for the valley at Merced, 100 hanging on in Fresno. Along the central coast, Monterey Bay Peninsula, nice cooling there. We've got 60s and 70s as we head our way inland, though. Again, we're still in the 90s to near 100. That summer heat under that ridge of high pressure will be lasting at least for the next couple of days. 60s along the Bay Area coast here, 69 for Point Reyes as we move inland. We're in the 80s, so not quite into the 100-degree threshold as we make our way through the capital region. Along the northwest coast, lots of fog, highs in the 60s. Inland areas coming out of those widespread 100s. We're in the 90s. Slight chance of some thunderstorms into our Tuesday for the northern part of the Sacramento Valley as we make our way through the Sacramento region. Highs are in the 90s largely, right around the upper 90s to near 100, where we don't have as much access to that breeze coming in from the Pacific. Moving on to our 5-day regional forecast, as I mentioned, a slight chance of thunderstorms lingering into our Thursday for the mountains. Otherwise, we'll start to see some clearing heading into the first part of our holiday weekend. 3-day forecast, we've got highs in the 90s for much of the valley as we head into that holiday weekend. We'll be pretty close to average, which runs right about the low 90s this time of year.
Thank you, Monica. Still ahead, we'll have a look at our forecasts in the Northwest. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Let's send things over to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane with a look at the heat and storm chances in eastern Washington.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. It's been a hot stretch of weather these last couple days, but the relief is on the way. Some of it already here in the form of cloud cover. Just giving us a little extra shade is going to take the edge off of some of the hottest weather that we've experienced recently. And this late August has proved to be some of the hottest days so far this whole summer season. But we're at the back half of this heat wave now, and the cloud cover itself is already cooling us off. And even as I've been updating the forecast this morning, I've been trimming back the high temperature forecast more and more, almost to the point where we could probably drop our weather impact alert day just because the heat is not as severe anymore. But the weather is going to still stay warm in some capacity. The original forecast still was at 95 degrees. Since then, I've lowered it to 93 for today, but low to mid 90s are still likely for now. But the cloud cover is going to have a big factor in ultimately how hot it ends up being. So heat advisories and the extreme heat warnings initially issued on Saturday. They go through Wednesday, but I will say I will not be surprised if they're canceled early. Tomorrow's forecast is not looking nearly as hot anymore compared to those earlier stages of the forecast. That's been a trend this summer where the models tend to overdo the heat and then they dial back when we get into the middle of the heat wave. But that's the case here. And again, I would not be surprised to see this canceled early. I would also like to follow suit by dropping our weather impact alert day. It's a close call because I still think it's going to be hot. But here's the cloud cover. I mean, this is already giving us shade this morning and preventing that early morning temperature rise, even with just the overcast skies. In the best case scenario, there's even a bit of light rain in central Washington, maybe enough to wet the ground, not a whole lot in it, unfortunately. We will certainly want a lot more. So as we take you back to Riverfront Park in downtown Spokane, a few tents set up there for this Tuesday morning, but notice how there's no direct sunlight. There's no shadows. Everything's already in shade thanks to the cloud cover overhead. And a couple peeks at some sky cameras elsewhere would take you close to Moses Lake. This is in Warden, Washington, just to the east there. There's actually a little bit of a rain shower that's visible way off in the distance, even though the camera image might not be the sharpest. Up to the north, this is Wakanda up in Ferry County. A lot more sunshine here. Now you can see the shadows of the trees. Northern Washington is way more likely to be sunny for today, but looks like the central and eastern parts of the state going to be a lot more cloudy overall. So with that being said, this would be our maximum high temperatures, but I'm getting close to actually even lowering this by another notch. Again, the initial forecast was 95. Got it at 93 in Spokane right now. I would not be surprised if it only ends up at about 90 for this afternoon if that cloud cover stays as overcast as it currently is. Still, 90 degrees is near 10 degrees above average for today's date, so we still feel like we're in the middle or at least the back half of the heat wave. But the relief is coming from the monsoon moisture. It's been drifting northward, and while the rain may or may not be limited, the cloud cover is here, and the cloud cover makes the biggest difference and will make the biggest difference on Thursday. One final note before the 7-day forecast for Spokane is that there are still air quality alerts for central Idaho. There are air quality drops in areas like Orofino and Kamiah, Idaho. Even Lewiston saw a small air quality drop earlier on this Tuesday morning. But there's your temperature trend. It's actually on downhill now, just low 90s today and tomorrow. We'll finally break that heat on Thursday with a small chance for some rain showers in the morning.
Thank you, Thomas. Heat is backing off in western Washington after some of the longest prolonged heat of the year. Meteorologist Rich Marriott is in Seattle with the forecast for the other side of the state.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott. Another hot day for parts of the Sound. In fact, looking at the area from south of Everett down towards Seattle, Tacoma, we were looking for a couple degrees of cooling. We actually got a few degrees of warming in some spots, including out of the airport. SEA hit 91 degrees, which is the warmest it's been during the heat wave, and also tied their record set back in 2016. One other interesting part of the almanac to check is the 8 o'clock sunset tonight. That's the last 8 o'clock sunset of the year for us. So you want to get out and enjoy it this evening. The temperatures will be warm around most of the area. Sharp contrast areas from Everett northward that were near the water, basically in the upper 70s and low 80s yesterday afternoon. We only hit 81 degrees out there at Bellingham, so pretty nice day there, and they're going to continue to cool a few more degrees today. In fact, looking out at Bellingham, you see a nice looking day developing there in the marina. A little bit of haze in the air on all of our tower cams. You can see it there in the Everett tower cam, and especially on the SeaTac tower cam. That's actually showing the sun getting through, but quite a bit of haze in there. And we do have some middle and high clouds that have moved up from the desert southwest, which are going to be giving us a little bit of shade, which will actually hold our temperatures down just a little bit today, and might give us a couple of thunderstorms this afternoon down in the South Cascades, just for variety. Looking out along the coast, that ocean air conditioning still sitting out there. It's been there for several days and been gradually working its way inland, but a little bit slower than usual. It should make real progress overnight tonight into tomorrow, and everybody should be a lot more comfortable as we head into Wednesday. First Alert 7-day forecast shows today our last day of First Alert weather, fortunately, and then we'll see those temperatures cool off as we head towards Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but not really get cool. Our normal highs right now are mid to upper 70s. We're still going to stay a little above that, but certainly a lot more comfortable. We do get back to our normal highs in time for the Labor Day weekend. Checking the satellite image, you can see we do have that along the coast. We do have that marine deck. It has pushed inland. It's covered up by these higher clouds that are moving in. You see that broad area of mid and high level moisture that's moved up from the southwest. Again, the main effect of that is going to be just to give us some clouds here on the west side, and then probably a few scattered thunderstorms in the South Cascades today, but probably more widespread thunderstorms tomorrow up into the North Cascades as well, and that'll be during the afternoon hours. Looking at our First Alert weather day today, we're going to continue that because of the heat, with a lot of places still getting into the mid 80s to the low 90s, especially as you get into some of those interior valleys out towards the Cascades. We did drop the red flag warning, but still elevated wildfire danger out there. And we do have our smoke haze too, which is going to be affecting our air quality. So all those combined, another first alert weather day. If we take a look at the upper level pattern, with this high pressure has been sitting here giving us this heat for the last several days. It finally starts to move away from us as we head towards Wednesday. And then as we head towards the weekend, we're going to see a little low kind of come up. Not much to it, but it is going to brush by us as we head into late Friday into Saturday. And that might give us a few scattered showers around. It doesn't look like it's going to produce much, but you might see a few drops around. And then that starts to move away from us as we head towards Sunday and on into Labor Day itself. So we should be in pretty good shape weather-wise if you have any outdoor plans during that period of time. Take a look at the smoke models. You can see, definitely seeing that smoke over western Washington through the day today, and that will continue on into tomorrow as well. And with that, we're going to see the air quality diminish a little bit, especially in the central sound. You can see right there along the I-5 corridor, and we'll see maybe a little bit more widespread loss of that air quality as we head towards tomorrow. It spreads a little bit farther up there towards the northwest interior. Take a look at our temperature forecast for today. Still seeing that big contrast between being near the water and away from it. Up there in Whatcom and Skagit counties, mid-70s to low to maybe mid-80s as you're near the water, but as you move inland, still getting to the low to mid-90s as you're getting close to the North Cascades. Dropping down into Snohomish County, right around the upper 70s and low 80s near the water, but getting up into the mid to upper 80s as you move farther inland. For both King and for Pierce counties, basically getting into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees for a lot of the places just near the water and away from it. As you head out towards southwestern Washington, we've got cool temperatures out there along the coast, definitely where our marine areas, low to mid 60s for the highs. And then as you move in towards that I-5 corridor south of Olympia, temperatures getting up to around 90 degrees. And again, those sharp contrasts across the Olympic Peninsula, mid 60s for the coast, 70s and 80s as you move inland on the west side of the Olympics. But as you get to the east side of the Olympics, those temperatures still pushing into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. So overall for Puget Sound, we're going to be looking at first alert weather day today. Temperatures at least south of Everett getting into the mid to upper 80s to near 90 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see things finally cool off. There'll be some showers in the Cascades in the afternoon tomorrow, and temperatures getting into the upper 70s and low 80s. Partly sunny Thursday, maybe a couple of sprinkles around, won't amount to much. Friday, partly sunny, warming back up a little bit, low to mid 80s. Partly sunny with a few showers around Saturday. Partly sunny Sunday, and mostly sunny for Labor Day itself. And temperatures over the weekend mostly in the mid to upper 70s.
Thanks for that, Rich. Still ahead, we stay in the Northwest with Boise and Portland's forecast. Plus, later on, we'll take a deeper dive into the incredible storm that blew through Arizona, bringing a wall of dust. All of that still ahead. Welcome back. Let's send things now to Hector Mendoza in Boise, where heavy rain is causing flooding concerns in Idaho.
Hello, my name is Hector Mendoza, forecasting out here at Boise, Idaho, and we have some activity that comes along for today. But aside from some of the storms and everything else that we're going to be seeing, and before we get there, I did want to talk about some of the smoke that continues to linger in from area wildfires here in places near Valley County, that we're seeing some of that thicker smoke there as we will continue through the rest of this morning and into this afternoon. But that stuff should start to clear out even here in the Treasure Valley, as we will continue to see moderate air quality, but things will start to improve as we get on towards this evening, as we get a little bit more of that wind and some of that smoke starts to mix its way on out through the rest of this afternoon. But I did want to start off by showing this photo before we start talking about the storms we're expecting through this afternoon. This is a beautiful photo from last night with a lot of those clouds in some areas here in the Treasure Valley, where we see, again, the label here is calm before the storm, as Stephen Gregory posted this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. As again, we had drier conditions yesterday, had some very light showers that came along through the Treasure Valley yesterday, but we're expecting to see a lot more activity through tonight. And because of that, first alert weather conditions are set into place for Wednesday, and we're going to see some more of that active weather now all the way through Thursday with widespread showers and thunderstorms. And with some of these storms, we are expecting to see some heavy rain. So with that, we have some flash flood concerns into the next couple of days, and we're going to see the wettest of days come along there for Wednesday, as that's when we're going to see a bulk of the moisture make its way on through. And again, we talk about flash flood concerns, and we do have flash flood watches in place from Twin Falls all the way down into eastern Oregon, and that's going to continue again. The places of highest concern are going to be areas with burn scars. So there's the Wapiti fire and lava fire there, where we can see some debris flows. So that'll be a little too much of a good thing is what we're going to see up into the mountains. Also with areas of poor drainage is where we can see some of the urban flooding to come along through the Treasure Valley for today. And as we zoom on out, it continues to be that monsoon moisture that makes its way through in from the south that we already have seen early on this morning. See some thunderstorms roll through the Magic Valley. So areas like Twin Falls, Jerome, and up and through Fairfield heading into the Central Mountains is what we continue to see through this morning and in through this afternoon. And again, as we zoom on in any closer, that's where we can start to see that those thunderstorms are making their way up north. Not much is really hitting here into the Treasure Valley, but again, later on into tonight is when we're expecting that. And not only are we going to see those thunderstorm chances and showers, cooler temperatures are on tap here as we get on into the upper 70s there for Wednesday, struggling to get out of those 70s and into the 80s. But then after that, we see some of that warm up come along as we get closer into Saturday and Sunday, and you expect much drier conditions there as we head on into Labor Day weekend. But let's take a look at our futurecasts. Right now we have it at around 9:20 in the morning there for Tuesday. As we fast forward through this afternoon, we anticipate some of those showers to come along the Central Mountains and the Magic Valley as it returns there for this afternoon. Could see some of that very late into tonight, starting around 7, maybe 8 o'clock tonight. That'll continue and see some light showers, and then we're going to continue with that through the mountains and the Magic Valley. But it's early Wednesday where we anticipate more of those showers to continue, and that morning commute is going to be wet. So for those kiddos that are heading out there, that on the bus stop, and those folks that are heading on their commute for early on Wednesday morning, expect to use those windshield wipers and have them get some exercise as they continue on through tomorrow, as we will continue to see that through the afternoon. And as we get closer to about 5 and 6 o'clock is when we're expecting to see some of that clear out through the Treasure Valley, but stick around and linger up into some of the mountain spots as we continue on into Thursday. Now, as we look at the 7-day forecast here in Boise, first alert weather conditions. So this panel is in red. We will see some isolated thunderstorms that could be possible into Thursday. Drier conditions to wrap up the work week with a lot more sunshine to come along for Saturday and Sunday.
Thanks, Hector. And the monsoon is also sneaking up and over to Oregon. Meteorologist Rod Hill is in Portland with the forecast.
From the City of Roses, Portland, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill with your Tuesday weather update down here. We've had some snap, crackle, pop this morning, meaning thunderstorms, not over Portland, but the rain has been near to south of our capital city of Salem. And then Corvallis, which is Oregon State University, some heavier rain and some thunderstorms near the university this morning. So here's the catch. Our futurecast models that I often show you, they aren't picking up on any of this. So the only way I have to kind of illustrate our weather pattern today and what I think could repeat tomorrow and potentially repeat into Thursday morning is to show you what's going on this Tuesday morning. So here we go. This is mid-morning. We've got all this rain shower activity down in Arizona and Utah and Nevada and Idaho. We've got this low, what I'm calling a super pump surface low in southeastern Oregon that's grabbing this moisture and then kind of slingshotting it over the Cascades and pulling cloudiness all the way off of the Oregon coast. And this morning, fueling the rain showers I mentioned with those thunderstorms down around Oregon State. This setup doesn't change a whole lot today, doesn't change much tomorrow, and it lingers into Thursday morning. So at any point between now and Thursday, I would say every 24-hour cycle, if you will, certainly has the ongoing chance that we'll get a lot of cloudiness from time to time, and we could see another outbreak of some rain showers popping over the Cascades into the Willamette Valley. And we know from this morning, and we know by instability numbers as forecasters, that we're unstable enough for thunderstorms. Again, at one point down around Corvallis, Oregon, they had 24 strikes this morning. Now, radar data does separate all of that out so we can tell if it's mostly cloud to ground strikes or mostly cloud to cloud lightning strikes. And we know by looking at that this was mostly cloud to cloud strikes this morning. There are only a few strikes that were reported coming down to the ground. But again, at 9:03 this morning, this is what radar looked like. And this is US 20 that runs into Newport. And down here in Benton County is Corvallis, and that's where we had that thunderstorm outbreak. So maybe tomorrow or maybe tonight we see something similar, but it's farther north up toward Portland. So that was the point out of all of that. All right, some cameras for you. Our Schnickwinds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City where it's showing some blue sky and then low clouds sitting over the Pacific waters out to sea. 57 degrees. Beach temperatures will be in the 60s today. One of our sunnier cameras is this one up on Mount Hood, showing some brightness. 69. Temperatures held in the low 70s up on the mountain yesterday and will be in the 70s again today. And here's our state capital, where there has been a touch of rain this morning, but most of it has been down south of Salem. We're really warm and we're really humid. I mean, these are fairly early morning numbers in the 70s. Mostly cloudy but dry in Portland. It's our first day of school, by the way. Portland Public Schools back to school on this Tuesday. So we've been talking about that. All right, valley numbers. Yesterday we had enough afternoon cloudiness that we didn't get up into the 90s, and technically we snapped our heat wave and we canceled all heat warnings. Now today the air mass is plenty warm. If we get afternoon sun, 3, 4 o'clock, we could zoom up into the 90s. But if it's more cloudy than not, temperatures will probably hold in the 80s. But it's still warm and it's still really humid by our standards. We had 40% relative humidity in the heat of the day yesterday. We don't see that often in the summer, so you can kind of feel it on your shirt, right? All right, here are the numbers this afternoon across our state. 80s, a few spots will hit 90s. Central and eastern areas of Oregon, including Central Oregon, Bend, Sun River, have the chance of a shower or a thunderstorm. And I mentioned for Portland that shower chance into Thursday morning. There's a separate system out in the Pacific that could bring a rain shower inland on Saturday and Sunday over the upcoming Labor Day weekend.
Thanks so much, Rod. Still ahead, we'll have a look at the national forecast. Stay with us. Welcome back. We have walked you through the weather out west. Now let's take a check on the national forecast.
Well, for your Tuesday, we are still holding on to some extreme heat in the west. Also looking at some storminess possible from the Rockies into the southern plains, and then cool temperatures really below average for most of the eastern half of the U.S. So let's take a look here at those temperatures. As I mentioned, we are dealing with fall temperatures really all the way from New England into portions of the South and Midwest. We've got the 70s for your highs there in New England, 80s in the mid-Atlantic and through the southeast, even Atlanta topping out at 82, as well as Charlotte. So those temperatures more consistent with what we would be seeing in September. And then in and around the Great Lakes, very cool air settling in. Grand Rapids, your high today only 69 degrees. We'll see the 90s across the Gulf Coast states, at least along the I-10 corridor, and then back into the desert Southwest, still hot in Phoenix at 99 and hot in the Pacific Northwest as well. In fact, here's a look at those watches and warnings, and we still have some heat advisories and some excessive heat watches and warnings here across the Pacific Northwest. Places like Medford, Oregon, you are going to be in the heat, and then in white, that's extreme heat here across portions of central Washington state near Spokane. So you have to take it easy there. And then in green, those will be flood alerts. Now those thunderstorms that could produce flooding really at any time over a very large piece of real estate. We're talking about anywhere from, say, Texas all the way back into the west coast of the U.S. So we'll watch for any flooding, monsoonal moisture coming up here from the desert Southwest. Pretty typical for this time of year, but other than that, we're quiet across the remainder of the U.S. Tropical areas to watch, well, we still have Fernand, and that is right here, but the good thing with this is it is weakening, entering hostile environment conditions, and we're not expecting it to really do anything other than go out to sea, and it's basically falling apart. A couple of other areas we'll keep an eye on, but nothing right now that the National Hurricane Center really has alerted us about. Here are those forecast highs then. Tuesday looking pretty good there in Seattle. We'll see those 80s. That goes for you in Portland. We'll be cooling back down into the 80s once we get past this 90-degree day. And in Spokane, we'll get a few storms coming in by Thursday. That's going to cool things down for you. Boise returning to more comfortable conditions as well. And then in the Southwest, we're still going to see the heat there in Phoenix and Denver. We're looking at the 70s, so comfortable there for you. Comfortable in San Diego, still hot in Sacramento. Hot still across Texas. Austin, you'll see 99 degrees by Thursday. And then, as I mentioned, pretty comfortable across a large swath of the south here, looking at Little Rock and Atlanta staying way below average. In the Midwest, staying way below average. In fact, some of those low temperatures down into the 50s and 40s in the morning. That goes for you here in the Northeast. Also, enjoy your day.
Still ahead, Ginger gave you a brief look at the monsoon earlier, the dust storm impacts that blew through Phoenix. We're going to head back to Arizona and take another look at some of those incredibly powerful images. Stay with us. Welcome back. The images look like something Hollywood produced. The monsoon brought a massive wall of dust that blew through Arizona yesterday. Now let's head back to the desert and take a look back on how yesterday's dust storm impacted travelers in Phoenix.
But it's incredible. Incredible.
A big wall of dust engulfed Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport Monday afternoon.
We've been waiting for like 4 or 5 years for one of these to happen again.
Temporarily halting operations and interrupting flight schedules. A ground stop was ordered shortly before the dust rolled over the tarmac, stalling planes on the runway and sending crews for shelter. The orange haze hugged the airport, significantly diminishing visibility as wind gusts moving up to 70 miles per hour blew the dust from south to north and east to west.
Obviously, it is completely dark, almost like midnight now.
Then came the downpour. Heavy rain followed the dust and strong winds forced it down in every direction.
Great flight, some lightning, and everything was wonderful.
During it all, planes headed for Phoenix were diverted to neighboring states, including California, Nevada, and Texas.
He was ready to land, and then he said, wait, we're being diverted back to Vegas.
The ground stop was lifted just before 6:30, but both arrivals and departures faced significant delays.
I've been waiting about 4 hours.
As thunderstorms moved across the state.
Her flight has been delayed by about 3 hours, I guess. She's still, I don't even know if she's actually left Vegas yet.
But passengers and loved ones still waiting are just thankful everyone's getting where they're going safely.
I was praying all the way up here. I'm just like, oh gosh, just give them safe travel. You know, it's worth the wait, I guess, you know, safety first.
As far as damage here at Sky Harbor, a spokesperson for the airport tells us crews are assessing damages and cleaning up roof leaks that left some water in the passenger areas. We'll be sure to follow up with them and get the full report on just how much damage was impacted here at the airport. At Sky Harbor, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News Today in AZ.
And speaking of damage, it wasn't just the airport, but widespread. There was damage across the region in Arizona. Let's take a check of one specific area that actually saw a tree fall onto a home.
Yeah, as that dust storm rolled in last night and the rain followed behind it, the East Valley, right where we are in Gilbert, likely the hardest hit by that combination of rain and wind. Here in this Gilbert neighborhood, and specifically this home, take a look at this cleanup effort these homeowners now have ahead of them. This tree completely toppled onto their home. We did have a chance to speak with the renter. She described what it was like when Mother Nature came sweeping through a night ago.
I was just sitting in the the living room. We had the windows open, just about to sit down and eat some dinner. I heard a big bang. I thought it sounded sort of like, you know, someone's trash bin rolling down the street. I thought it's not trash day yet. Maybe I forgot to put my trash bin away. Saw this branch was laying down sort of in the street, and as we were looking at that, this came down, so we saw it in real time falling down onto the house, and my first reaction was like, shoot. Right. I knew this was going to happen. It was the tallest tree on the street.
And Monica tells me she's actually quite thankful that there wasn't more damage caused to the side of her home or to the roof area when that tree toppled onto it last night. Now we know other East Valley homeowners are likely doing similar things to what these homeowners have to do here in the future, cutting up trees and removing them from their front or backyards. And we wish them well in those efforts. In Gilbert, Sean Rice, 12 News.
Thank you, Sean. Those really are just powerful images coming out of Arizona. That wall of dust looks like a movie. And of course, our meteorologists in Arizona, we're staying up to date, as you heard Ginger talking about at the beginning of this hour. It's a great reminder to just make sure you have those alerts on and you're staying up to date with that local forecast, because when these storms like that blow through, they absolutely can have high impact. Well, that does it for us here on today's episode of Weather Out West, Tuesday, August 26th. We will be back here at the same time, the same place tomorrow on Wednesday. Happy end of August, everybody. Hopefully you're finding ways to avoid that monsoon, those thunderstorms. And don't forget to stick with Weather Out West as we bring you the latest on your West Coast forecast. Have a great day.